Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabans. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a very, very interesting show. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you're not following me on Instagram, my name is Charles Tabanzi, C-T-A-B-A-N-Z. And also make sure you follow Dreamers Pro, the name of the channel, Dreamers Pro, on Instagram as well. And check out the Dreamers Pro podcast that we have pinned in the comment section below. So let's get into the story here. As you guys know, the biggest story right now in the NBA is the Damian Lillard story, right? With him being traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, prior to that, all the reports had been Damian Lillard desperately wanted to get out of Portland and go play with Miami. Now, if you guys remember, at the time Damian Lillard made the trade request, there was one important wrinkle. And that wrinkle was he made it clear, or at least his agent did, or so we heard, that the only team he is interested in going and being traded to is the Miami Heat. If you're not going to trade him to the Miami Heat, if you're not going to trade me to the Miami Heat, I'm not interested and I'm not interested in going anywhere. And a lot of people at the time began to criticize Dame and his camp because they're like, wait a minute, you're not giving Portland enough options to go out there and get a good trade for you. And you're going to hamstring the organization, right? But there were reports that that's where he's hell-bent on going. That's where he's hell-bent on going. To give you guys context, the Miami Heat just came out. They just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals just last year. I forgot the team that they lost to. I think, was it Eastern Conference Finals? Anyway, they went pretty far in the playoffs last year, but ultimately they lost, right? So a lot of people at the time, and I'm also assuming Damian Lillard was saying to himself, man, if I can go to that team, I can possibly help this team get over the top, right? Makes perfect sense. So he wanted to go there. Then what happened? We started hearing that nothing was happening. There wasn't going to be any news. The trade wasn't going to go down. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we're sitting here. The other day, we had finished wrapping up content. Mitch, who works with us, sends me a message in the group chat going, Damian Lillard just got traded to the Bucks. And we were like, wait, what? So we do a story on this, right? Good. So after we do this story, after everybody's reacting to it, we're talking about what's Milwaukee going to be. Charles Barkley just recently said he believes that they're the title favorites and they're going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. In the midst of all of this conversation, the one part everybody is forgetting to talk about is the aftermath in Portland. And apparently, according to new reports from Bleacher Report and Chris Haynes, the breakup between Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers did not end on good terms, unfortunately. And that's really what we want to focus on today on today's show. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Athletic Greens. AG1 is a convenient nutritional supplement with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients that meet all of your foundational nutrition needs. Now, here's a quick personal story that I think that may resonate with a lot of you. I went to college in Italy, and actually that's where I met the co-founder, Dreamerspro Marco. And at that time, I was eating healthy whole foods, I was exercising regularly, and I was in the best shape of my life. Then life happened. I stopped exercising regularly. I started gaining weight because I wasn't able to exercise the way I used to and eat healthy the way I used to because I was moving around to different countries. And before I knew it, I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. So for the last 2 years, I've been really trying to focus on regaining my health and getting back in tip-top shape. However, the biggest challenge that both Marco and I are having right now is that although we try to get the proper nutrition and do the right things to stay in shape and to stay healthy, other commitments somehow get in the way of us doing this. And to be honest with you, we find it hard to get enough servings of fruits and vegetables and other types of healthy foods to ensure that we're taking the right vitamins and minerals that are vital for good health. So we both started to take 1 scoop of AG1 in the morning with cold water to ensure that we're getting all of the vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and fiber that we need in our diet to enhance our mental health, our physical health, and performance. And Marco, who's always skeptical about taking new nutritional supplements, found it to be reassuring that AG1 is used by top health experts and performers like Andrew Huberman and Lewis Hamilton. So if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/dreamers. That's drinkag1.com/dreamers. Check it out. And remember, when you try AG1 by using the link in the description below, just know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into this Bleacher Report article. I'm going to read a little bit of what it has to say here. It says, inside the messy divorce between Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. It continues on. Damian Lillard received word on his new destination shortly after 11 a.m. Wednesday. Lillard was speechless. A few minutes later, he briefly explained what he was feeling. He said, "I'm just letting it sink in," Lillard told Bleacher Report minutes after news broke that he was going to be a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. "I'm just trying to process it all. It's a lot to think about. Never been in this situation before." Where he was going and where he wasn't going was a shock to the basketball world, but it wasn't necessarily a shock to Lillard, considering how the previous few months had gone. Since July, the Portland Trail Blazers had refused to engage with the Miami Heat, the preferred destination Lillard requested when he asked for a trade on July 1st from the Blazers. How the summer played out behind the scenes definitely left a sour taste in my mouth, Lillard told Bleacher Report. But it doesn't change the amazing experience I've had with the Trail Blazers and this city. I'll always cherish this place. This is my home. I'll always live here regardless. Getting personal. The last time Portland and Miami communicated was at Summer League in July via phone between Trailblazers general manager Joe Cronin and Heat senior vice president of basketball operations and general manager Andy Ellisberg. Miami hoped to schedule an in-person meeting while in Las Vegas to discuss trade scenarios, but the meeting never materialized. Portland made it clear through the media it would take the best offer for Lillard and wouldn't be limited to just Miami. In return, Lillard's agent, Aaron Goodwin, relayed to the team that Lillard would not be content if Portland traded him to a team other than Miami. The Trailblazers felt they were being pressured into what they deemed to be an unfavorable starting point in the negotiation. The NBA stepped in and warned Goodwin that Lillard could be subject to discipline if Lillard's camp continued to disrupt quality offers Portland could field. I wanted everyone to understand that even though we didn't have a non-trade clause, a provision that's not afforded to Dame under the CBA, I was going to do everything in my power to control the market and help get my client to a place he wanted to be, Goodwin told Bleacher Report. The Heat say they never had a legitimate opportunity to negotiate. Throughout the process, they felt Portland allowed emotions to get in the way of business. Lillard's camp believed it had become personal. Miami believes it could have included a third team and netted the Trailblazers up to 3 first-round picks with the inclusion of Tyler Hero. Frustrated with the lack of suitable offers, sources say the Trailblazers ceased all communication with Lillard and Goodwin in early September. Portland's rationale for keeping them in the dark was to prevent Goodwin from getting involved in potential deals behind the scenes. For approximately 2 weeks, calls and texts to the Trailblazers from Lillard and Goodwin went unanswered, not going back. In late August, Goodwin suggested to Cronin that he met with Lillard to mend the relationship in case his client were to return to the team. Cronin agreed, and they met at Lillard's Portland Arena mansion on September 5th. It was the first time they had spoken in quite some time. With a little less than a month away from training camp, from the opening of training camp, the two sat in an entertainment center of Lillard's home, and the meeting lasted about an hour. Lillard expressed his disappointment with how the situation had been handled, citing his steadfast commitment to the organization over the years. He questioned why there was no dialogue with Miami and expressed how it would be disheartening to be sent somewhere against his wishes. According to sources, Portland had asked Lillard to sit out the final 10 games of the 2022-2023 regular season to help their franchise improve its lottery odds. He was told the higher the draft picks, the better chance they had using the pick to facilitate a trade for a proven veteran player. He reluctantly acquiesced to being shut down, citing a calf injury. Portland went 1-9 to finish the season and would go on to win the number 3 pick and select Scoot Henderson, a promising young point guard the team planned to keep. In the September 5th meeting, Cronin conveyed that if he was forced to do a deal with Miami, he had every intention of going after every attractable asset. Lillard knew then he was unlikely to end up in Miami. And the article just goes on and on and on. It's a fantastic read. I suggest you guys read that. Now, I want to get into what Damian Lillard himself said in the aftermath of being traded to the Bucks. So after all of this happened, Damian Lillard, now knowing his fate, now that he's going to be a Milwaukee Buck, he goes to Twitter to essentially leave a message or letter, an open letter to the Portland Trail Blazers fans. And I'm only going to read a very little of it because it's very long. It goes, "Dear Rip City, I want to start off by saying that this isn't a goodbye, it's a see you later. My words have always been from the heart when it comes to you, Rip City. I consider you my home as well as many of you my family members, and that won't change. I've built my entire adulthood here and made so many friends that I will never forget. The moments on the basketball court as great as they have been don't even compare to the experiences I've had with all of you. The way you embraced me from day one gave me no choice but to reciprocate the love 1,000 times, and I don't regret one bit of it. I must admit that it does make me sad to see some people cross over and appear as my opposition in the wake of me asking to be traded without knowing the facts, because I am truly one of you. I hope there is a day where we can come together and reminisce on the great times, as we won't have them again, at least not as they were." And then the post goes on to say a bunch of other things. But anyway, that's not the point. I want to now focus on what Chris Haynes had to say about this fallout, in particular about this Bleacher Report article. He says, be our source. Inside the messy divorce between Damian Lillard and Portland Trail Blazers, how this summer played out behind the scenes definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. So that's what Chris Haynes had to say. Here are my thoughts on all of this. First of all, is Damian Lillard the first NBA superstar to request a trade? No. When NBA superstars request trades, can it get messy? Absolutely. You can look at Kobe Bryant's situation, my favorite player of all time. It got much messier than this, although they ultimately found a way to keep him. And Kobe, to be fair, was much younger than Damian Lillard. He was in the heart of his prime, and I believe Damian Lillard is about 33 years old. That's one aspect. You can look at the situation with Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. That's another example. You can look at the situation with the situation with James Harden. Now, James Harden is a case all onto himself. Like James Harden, man. Like if the wind blows this direction, he's like, he'd be like, well, guys, looks like I'm tired of here and I'm out of here. Look what James Harden is doing. The guy went all the way to China. They asked him about something. He's now talking about Daryl Morey. Then I heard recently he was in a party where they had up a poster or something like that, a cake or whatever the hell it was, saying Daryl Morey's a lesson. So these things can become messy, right? In the case of Dame in Portland, here's what's surprising to me. Damian Lillard has always made it clear that he wanted to be a Portland Trail Blazer. He has always made it clear that he's not one of these guys that is fascinated with joining teams and joining super teams. He didn't want to do any of that. I remember the famous quote that he had to Paul George when he said, "Keep trying to skip the process, cheat the process." This is when they had their back and forth in 2020 during the Orlando bubble and stuff like that. So Dame has never been that type of guy, super team kind of guy. But to see Dame to get to this point in his career where he's like, I don't know what else I can do, and to still be conflicted about leaving while knowing that he wants an opportunity at winning an NBA championship, we got to know that it must not have been an easy situation for Damian Lillard. And I think that he is heartbroken based on some of the things that he's saying, because he also said, don't be surprised. Later on, he said, don't be surprised that you see me in a Portland Trailblazer jersey in the future. I think what's going to happen is Dame is going to go somewhere to try to win an NBA championship. And I think we're going to see a thing that similarly happened, the thing that happened with Dwayne Wade, where Dwayne Wade went to Cleveland. I forgot where else he went to, but ultimately he found his way back in Miami, and he retired with Miami. He had his issue with the organization, but they knew Dwayne Wade is the Miami Heat. There's no way Dwayne Wade could play his last basketball game with another organization. And I think there's a possibility that could happen, but in a ceremonious way. He'll be an older player, they'll have him, and then he'll retire with that organization, because I truly believe that Damian Lillard is heartbroken at the way things ended. This is just my view. You can disagree with me. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about the fallout of this situation? Do you think Dame was a little bit too rigid by saying he only wants to go to Miami? Do you think he could have been a little bit more he could have been a little bit more accommodating in terms of the options that they wanted to give him? Because it seems like at one point, according to reports, before I close, Dame wanted to rescind his trade request. He actually wanted to rescind it, but the general manager of the Portland Trailblazers said there's no coming back, which means that these were real people that were really connected, and it looks like some people were hurt. And I think a part of what's happening here is that Damian Lillard is feeling some regret. And it makes you think on a much deeper level, what is it really all about? Do you want to win and be miserable in the process? Or do you ultimately want to be happy? Because Dame seems to be bothered by all of this, and that's really telling. And it's sad to see how it ended, but who knows what the future holds. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, do you think Dame can go on and win a championship with the Bucks? And number two, do you think we'll ultimately see Damian Lillard retire as a Trailblazer? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.